Well, the Washington Commanders finally did the expected. They fired Ron Rivera as their head coach, but they also made some unexpected moves, including hiring Bob Myers and Rick Spielman as advisors. Going to get into it all in today's video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell as well. It really does help out a ton. And yeah, sorry the video's a little bit late. My hair is messy. I just woke up. Got out of bed a little bit late, but woke up to this news, and not surprising at all. So we'll talk about this for a little bit, but the surprising things are some of the other things that were reported, like the Rick Spielman and Bob Myers news. And there's been so much news today that it's hard to keep up with. Like, they requested interviews for a few different head coaches, or at least two, and some different general managers as well. So I'm going to make separate videos on that, so stay tuned for that. But the news that was expected, the Washington Commanders fired head coach Ron Rivera after 4 seasons. It was very underwhelming, and Ron Rivera was like, "Oh, it takes 3 to 5 years to build a culture and rebuild a franchise." Well, he wasn't able to do it in 3 to 5 years, and he took a team that had the number 2 overall pick when he got here, and guess what? They have the number 2 overall pick now, and you could argue their roster is worse than when he got it. At least they had more pieces, I would say, when he got it versus what he's leaving with it, leaving the franchise with. But at least they have the number 2 overall pick. They do have some good draft picks. They got a lot of cap space. The sites are a little bit, have some different numbers, but they have around 80 million, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less to work with. So they can easily overhaul some of these, players and bring in some good players as well. We'll read Ron's statement a little bit. He says, I want every Washington fan to know how much I appreciate your unwavering support. And basically he talks about all the challenges he had to go through, and I will give it to him. He had to go through a lot of, challenges, his health issues, which, is great that he was able to battle through that, still be the coach, and fight through that and still be here today. So very grateful for that. And then all the other drama he had to go through. So I will always give him that, the amount that he had to go through, and he still, showed up to his job. And yeah, he is getting paid millions, but it was a lot to go through. A name change, the amount of allegations with this team. And it was just a lot to go through. But he also made some terrible, terrible decisions. And it would have been one thing if he would have been just the coach, but he was also he wasn't technically the general manager, but he was the one making the decisions. He's basically the president. And that just doesn't work out, especially with, the coach-centric approach. It works with maybe 1 or 2 guys, the elite of the elite. And Ron Rivera was never the elite of the elite. Yeah, he won Coach of the Year a couple times, but, he was a good coach at his peak. He was a good coach, but he's always struggled with, clock management and analytics stuff. And, the Riverboat Ron stuff is BS. A lot of times he doesn't go for it when he should. And it's a combination of a lot of things with Rivera. It just, he failed here. He made the playoffs once, and it was when we won 7 games. So he really, he technically made the playoffs, but I'm not going to even give him credit for, that was an insane year. That was his best year, in my opinion, because the expectations for the team, they had the number 2 overall pick the year before, and you go to 7 wins and make the playoffs with Alex Smith that, and rest in peace Dwayne Haskins. That was the best year. That was the best year of the Rivera era. After that, it just every year seemed like the same thing, or at least the next 2 years, seemed like the same thing, where they would start out slow, go on a run at the end of the season or middle to end of the season, and then lose the last few games of the season. And that's what happened those 2 years, and really the first year as well. But it is what it is. Rivera, I don't know what he's going to do. He's set up for life. He was set up for life before he came to Washington, but he got a lot more money, and he did have to work under Dan Snyder. So it is what it is. It was his birthday yesterday. Give him a little bit of a pass, but you guys know how I feel about him. I am very happy he is gone. Should have been gone earlier, but he's gone right now. And the Commanders bring in Rick Spielman and Bob Myers to help advise for the next head coach, or the next general manager and head coach. A lot of people are like, these guys are, or at least, Bob Myers is a basketball guy, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, this is for the head coach and the general manager, and he knows how to hire these people, and he helped build a dynasty in basketball. He knows how to hire the right people, and that's how he, got to winning championships. So Bob Myers knows how to hire, the people. I'm pretty sure he hired Steve Kerr. I'm not sure when he got to Golden State. And then Rick Spielman was a longtime GM for the Vikings. So I think having those guys help advise for the next general manager / president and head coach is good. And right now, at least, they're expected to be advisors and nothing more. So it's not like these guys are going to have, roles with the organization afterwards, or at least that's what's being reported right now. Maybe something changes and they get some title, but, Bob Myers and Rick Spielman aren't expected to be the guys. They're just expected to help hire the guys, and they have a lot of experience with people. And now you put Josh Harris in that group, Magic Johnson, and those are kind of the main guys. There's a couple other guys as well. I think David Blitzer, a couple other guys that are helping hire this head coach. I'm sure and general manager. The general manager is more important. That's the guy you're going to hire first. And maybe Eugene Shen as well. I'm sure he'll be advising as well. But this is a huge day in Commanders land. There's also news that the Commanders are interested in Jim Harbaugh. Bob Myers has already reached out to agent Don Yee about Harbaugh. Owner Josh Harris hired Myers to help lead the search for Washington's new head coach and general manager. I don't know if I truly am buying that maybe we're interested in him, but I saw the same guy, Jordan Schultz, reported it's a two-horse race for the head or for Jim Harbaugh, and it's between the Raiders and someone else, maybe the Chargers. I don't know exactly. So I'm not buying that we're going to be going after him. Maybe it was just a contact thing, see what he thinks. And it's good to interview a lot of guys because you get their perspective on your team. And there's Rivera's record, 26-40 with Washington, with one playoff appearance. Yeah, it just was disastrous. Everything about his first round picks. I'll give him a pass on Chase Young because everyone thought he was going to take Chase, or everyone thought he should take Chase besides, a few people that wanted a quarterback, and those people ended up being right. But most people wanted to take Chase Young and roll with Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. But after that, taking Jamin Davis just objectively it wasn't a great pick. He was supposed to be he was projected to be a late 20s guy or early second. So maybe not objectively a bad pick, but objectively overdrafted. That's what I'll say. And could have drafted Christian Darrisaw, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And this is not just me hindsight. This is what I was saying at the moment. And then the next year, take Jahan. You trade back, you get some players, but Chris Olave and Kyle Hamilton, who are studs, were on the board. And then this year, the worst out of all of them, you take Emmanuel Forbes when, let's look at it. Christian Gonzalez, who I thought was the best corner of the draft, if not the best, the second best, and a top 10 talent, he was on the board. Deonte Banks was on the board. Joey Porter was on the board. And you take Emmanuel Forbes, who, again, projected to go late first, maybe early second, but most people thought late first, sorry. Take him. So that was really the failure under the Rivera era, was him being the general manager and making the decisions. The draft picks were bad. Fedarian Mathis, terrible. Quan Martin, he's turning it around. But, again, we needed offensive line and not really, another secondary piece, even though, and that's assuming we thought Emmanuel Forbes was going to be better than he was in the secondary. Or if you would have drafted Gonzalez or Banks, you wouldn't have had to draft Martin there. But he's been a little bit better, but still would have liked someone like Osiris Torrance, who's been good for the Buffalo Bills and just, was a piece in their, fourth AFC East title in a row. So that was another one of his mistakes. And then the free agents not going after linebackers every year, offensive linemen, and just a lot of decisions. Some of the quarterback decisions, trading for Wentz for that much. There's been rumors about Dan being involved in that. I don't know. So it is what it is. There's not much else to talk about. Rivera's gone. New era starts right now, guys, with this new general manager, new head coach. I am very, very excited. Stay tuned. Honestly, I'm probably going to post 2 more videos today. The head coaching interviews that we're, requesting, and then also the general manager ones as well. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.